Hello, Ambassador Goncalves.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting the diplomat team to your residence.
It's a pleasure. Please, come in.
I feel like residence usually feature its distinctive designs from the country of its origin. And I believe your residence also has a lot of designs that we can see and feel Portugal. If you don't mind, could you introduce some designs that we can feel Portugal?
Okay, let me show you some pictures. This is very interesting. It represents a scene in the morning in downtown in the port. I think that the end of the 19th century. You'll find the center of the town, the city of Porto, that didn't change very much. Didn't change very much.
Ambassador, I see some beautiful chinas here on the table. If you don't mind, could you introduce or tell a little bit more about the chinas?
Yes, a pleasure. It's very interesting because these two that you have here, one represents old traditions. This is made by Arirang, that is a very old company in Portugal that do that, and hand painted.
It's beautiful. Very sophisticated.
Very sophisticated, yes. The same company now do something design like this one. It's very interesting because
it's from the same company?
Same company.
It looks so
the
different.
Quality is the same, but the design is completely different.
It looks so different. Is it scenery from Portugal? Yes,
this is from Lisbon, and this is looking from the downtown to Castelo de São Jorge. Very interesting. Especially I like the colors and the colors and the design.
Wow, you prepared a lot for us. Thank you very much.
No, it's not so much. It's just a taste of some Portuguese foods.
When many people think of Portugal, they think of egg tart.
You know, egg tart, it's starting by, it was made by the monks in monasteries. They use the egg whites to scratch, to paint the fabrics. But they have leftovers, the yolk, the yellow part. So they have to use it. They start to make this cake.
That's interesting.
And pastries, and they don't waste the yolk.
Ambassador, could you tell us what this food is?
Well,
it looks really good.
You know already the pastel de nata, no? But this is pastelos, it means it's a cake. But this is made of cod fish. Would you like to try?
Yes, of course. It's really good. It tastes very similar to Hanguk fish cake in Korea.
Maybe.
I know that Portuguese wines are very popular, and I heard the way that they produce is was unique. Could you explain?
There are some, for instance, first of all, we produce wine after so many centuries. Just to give an idea, in the case of the port wine, the region of port wine is produced along the river in the north, along the banks of the Rio Douro. That is. Usually, the dry wine is made by the fermentation of the grapes. Goes to the limit, and in the end, you have a wine with 12 degrees. But in case of the port wine, we stop the fermentation when we reach the 7 degrees alcoholic proof, and stop this fermentation, adding what we call aguardente. Aguardente means is a pure wine alcohol that's around 77 degrees. So when you mix them, you have a wine with the sweet and that stay in the wine because the fermentation has stopped.
I see.
So your program, your team.
Thank you. I like it. It's really refreshing.
Yes, the idea is that.
Ambassador, thank you very much for preparing all the foods and wine for us. Now, shall we move and continue our conversation?
Yes, of course.
Ambassador, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here.
So you started your post in December 20th, 2017. Was it your first time here in Korea?
No, in fact, I am not so young as I look. But I had been here in 1991, I think, in Seoul. I was in Tokyo at the time.
Oh, I see.
It's funny how life goes back to the same place.
Right.
And I visited Seoul at the time, and I must say that it was a surprise now when I come back again, not visiting, but to live here. It was a huge change. My reaction was wow, especially in the center of the city. Everything has been like all the country, of course.
Right.
But of course, you arrive to a country that is now the 11th economical power.
Right.
That is the 5th or 6th exporter in terms of in the rank of all the countries. So what we feel is that with a very dynamic society, changing a lot.
According to our research, a Portuguese person was the first Westerner to visit Korea. And many Koreans understand that it was Hamel who was a Dutch person to visit Korea for the first time as a Westerner. Do you have any document to prove this fact?
There was a man called João Mendes in 1604 that he was part of a mission, a trade mission, that and his vessel just was destroyed. Some people say that it was a typhoon, some people it was destroyed by. And the fact is that he came to the east coast of Korea. And for that there are documents of at the time in 1604 we were just 200 inside the Chosun dynasty.
Right.
And there are some documents that refer even the stay that was not very pleasant for him, I suppose, because he was detained for 4 months, and then he and the people that accompanied him, Japanese and Chinese, he went again back to China, I think, at the time. Probably there are Portuguese before, but documents we have is for this famous João Mendes. That was one trader that has been here for not for long.
We have very long time historic relations, but I believe our diplomatic ties were established in 1961, so it's been 58 years so far. How would you evaluate our relations?
The fact is that the numbers that you have are is these relations that become more and more strong when it comes to trade, when it comes to also to even in the cultural field. Although there are there are a lot of work to do in this field, and when it comes to even to the contacts people to people, tourism, for instance, is one area that has been booming, having in mind from the low level that we start. I just heard that last year we have around 150,000 Koreans going to Portugal. When it comes to the political aspects for the two countries, is easier. We are part of the same organizations like OECD, and we are also defending the multilateralism. We have the same positions in many international fora, and two like-minded countries. That's an area where we are doing very well, of course.
Besides the people-to-people exchanges across the all level, I understand that high-level meetings are becoming more frequent. What can we expect from these high-level meetings?
It's very important, this kind of meetings, not because they find a solution for the problems that you might have at the time, but they are very important to maintain the dynamics of the relations. The speaker of the Assembly of the Portuguese Republic, he was here, in fact, 1 month ago. We had the opportunity to go also, not to stay only in Seoul, but to go also to Busan, to meet not only with the authorities, political leaders, but also with the CEOs from companies that in the economy. That also very important, because it's important to keep this, maintain this exchange of high-level visits. But also, it's very important that we include the civil society and also the companies that has or might have in the future interests in both countries. And we hope to keep this exchange of visits. When it comes to political consultation or cultural commissions meetings, we have been doing this more or less every year on a year basis.
Portugal is one of the countries that have ties with both South Korea and North Korea. And right after the North Korea-US summit in Hanoi, Portuguese parade drew attention because it featured a figure, and in that figure, Chairman Kim Jong-un and President Trump was holding a dove together. But in contrast, I remember that in the previous parade, I saw that Chairman Kim Jong-un was kind of threatening President Donald Trump from the back. What does this shift mean?
I think it's a good message, isn't it? It shows how the imagination, how the people can feel the hope that is in the air, in the certain, and what are living now. Since I remember when not long after I arrived in January 2018, when we heard this speech coming from Pyongyang, you remember that? So and then after that, the conversations, the summits that had place with the leaders of the two countries and also with the leader of the United States. So the image that we see in the streets somewhere in Portugal, I think it's a message of optimism that we hope that will result, and everything shows that at least we can have this hope of the dove, in the dove, and the image.
I'm curious, what's the image of Korea to people in Portugal?
You see, I was born in the end of the 50s, last century already. And that was, the 20th century was very difficult. For us also in Portugal was, for Koreans it was quite complicated, you know. You have even after the Second War, the Korean War. But now, after all these decades, many things change, and the image is that a country that with a strong resilience that could suddenly goes from the 60s and the situation in the 60s, and when it comes to the economy, to 11th economy in the world. The image is also so this is economic power. Many companies that the biggest and that are in the front of the research and development and produce the most advanced equipment. So the image is this also the working people with the culture, economy, good universities. You know that the universities in Korea, when it comes in programs like these European programs like Erasmus+, when it comes to Asia, those that are most, that people look for to get a place to come and study here for. This happens in Portugal and in other countries in Europe.
And then this time, to your understanding, how Koreans are perceiving Portugal?
When it comes to the trade, economic relations in general, we see that they have been improving in the last years. Tourism, as I told you, there are many people just there. Really curiosity. People goes to Portugal. They like to be there. They feel that they are received. They come back, and so we feel this result. So answering to your question, the image that we find here is not very knitted in the sense that Portugal is not too well known yet as in Korea, but. What we feel here is that this is something in process and changing, hopefully.
I heard that the embassy held a very special event here at the residence to share more things about Portugal that Koreans may not be very familiar with, and our team was also there with you.
Ambassador Goncalves de Jesus has invited the freshman class of the Portuguese department at the Hanguk University of Foreign Studies to his residence. This has been an annual event since 2011 and was organized especially to encourage Korean students who want to learn the culture and language of Portugal.
포르투갈어가 어떻게 사용되고 역사를 직접 진짜 국민에게 듣는 거는 처음이기 때문에 그것이 또 기대되고 포르투갈 음식도 엄청 많이 기대됩니다.
평상시에 대사관에 갈 일이 없잖아요. 그래서 좋았습니다.
The students have really been looking forward to this, so the ambassador has prepared a lot of things for them.
We take the opportunity just to show them also to the history of the Portuguese-speaking countries, not only Portugal but others, and also what is the role, the place of the Portuguese language today in the world.
The ambassador has finally begun his presentation, and as he does so, he lets them know a lot of things about Portugal. The Portuguese language is spoken by more than 200 million people, making it one of the most widely spoken languages in the world. That's why it's also become a popular language to learn among Korean students. The students have some questions about Portugal as well.
Who is the most important king or queen, like King Sejong in Portugal?
To answer it, it's very much personal. I have one that has my name. Is the Dom Manuel I.
The ambassador is giving his all because he knows that the roles these students play in the future as the bridge between South Korea and Portugal will be crucial to their ties.
포르투갈의 음식들을 맛보면서 그런 다양한 문화들과 역사들에 대해서 알 수 있었던 알찬 시간이었던 것 같습니다.
대사님을 이렇게 직접 만나 뵌다는 것 자체가 흔치 않은 기회인데 또 거기다가 포르투갈에 대한 역사 이야기까지 직접 들으니까 되게 유익했던 것 같아요.
포르투갈 대사님이 직접 이제 이런 행사를 주관을 하심으로 해갖고서 학생들이 이제 포르투갈에 대해서 좀 더 친근감을 느낄 수 있는 것 같습니다. 이런 행사를 통해서 포르투갈로 연수 가는 학생들도 많고 그쪽으로 이제 취업의 기회를 찾아가는 학생들도 많고 그래서 굉장히 긍정적으로 보고 있습니다.
The experience from today's event will be of huge help to these students as they pursue their dreams.
Our intention is that they should keep in contact also, not only with us because as an embassy, but in the way that they can be part of a larger group of people that interact in the cultural field and starting from the language in order to keep this proximity with the linguistic, but it's just one element in a more diversified aspects of cultural life.
I believe more Koreans could be more familiar with the Portuguese culture and so on that Koreans were not very familiar with thanks to your efforts. Do you have any more special plans to let people know more about Portugal?
There is this work that we do with the universities that is also very important. This changing students coming to Korea, going to Portugal. That's also some part of our work. We have the trade promotion, the work that we do. That is also a very important part of our relations that we want to develop. Big part of our work is done in that field.
I see. Let's switch our topic. According to the recent statistic, Portugal is one of the most popular destinations for Korean travelers. What about Portugal do you think draws people there?
There is an increase in the number of tourists visiting Portugal, as far as the general picture is concerned. Especially in the last years, in a country with a population of little more than 10 million, we receive almost the double of the people visiting Portugal, so it's quite well. Portugal is a country relatively small, so we have one of the best webs of roads. You can travel quite easily all around the country. I mean, if you are you can go from north to south quite easily, and so. But at the same time, the country is diversified in terms of you have the sea, you have the mountain, you have the islands. At the same time, being an old country, and you can say that we have some also being careful to take care of our legacy of what our heritage. You have the monuments, all of this, that is a reflex of the histories. And then you have a country that is safe in terms of you feel secure also, where it's very easy.
Thank you for your explanation about so many reasons why Portugal is attracting more and more travelers.
I forget many, I'm sure.
And I feel like I should visit Portugal as well. But could you tell some hidden charms of Portugal that we should visit?
Okay, there is one. I'm glad you asked this question. We have, as you know, as we are quite twin in the sense, the twin countries in the sense that we are located. If you look to the Eurasian continent, call it a continent, not two but one continent, going from Portugal to Korea. In the west part, the west part of Europe is Portugal. It's called Cabo da Roca. And then you go in the east part of the Asia, you find Korea, Ulsan, around there. So there is even a monument replying the monument that we find in Cabo da Roca in Sintra.
We talked a lot about the past and also the present when it comes to our relations. What do you think we can expect from our two countries' relations in the future?
Well, I think that we are going to consolidate what we are doing now and trying to find new ways to go into and to find the opportunities that lie ahead of us. That's what we do in our life, in our business, in the relations between two countries. When you look to the way the economy and in general the society, the countries Korea are operating, we can see that in the future the role of this country will be much more strong and so we also of course are interested also to participate in these opportunities that we'll have in the future. So that's the vision that we have for the relations between the two countries.
Ambassador, it was such a lovely time hearing diverse features about Portugal, and thank you very much for inviting us to your residence today.
No, it was a pleasure to have you here and your team. So I hope to have the opportunity that we can speak in the future also. And at that time we can say that we are right. We are right to be optimists for the future.
I'm looking forward to seeing more things of what you do in the future too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.